Aubrey.
Aubrey.
Yeah.
Douglas Aubrey. All right, so we're on the record in docket 23-00790. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Douglas Aubrey. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson. People.
Mr. Lee. Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Aubrey.
And sir, you are Douglas Aubrey, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a final pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. Previously, we adjourned because it came to the people's attention that one of the witnesses on this file is now an employee with our office. We've determined that that's not a conflict and we're ready to proceed. However, the necessary witnesses in order to proceed are not here today, so the people cannot proceed. I expect a motion from the defense.
All right, Mr. Raleigh.
Yes, my motion would be to dismiss.
All right. All right, I'm going to be in possession of a nollie cross or order of dismissal, Mr. Aubrey. And this case is based on the people's inability to proceed because witnesses have not, or witnesses were subpoenaed and did not appear. It appears that I'm going to grant the motion to dismiss without prejudice, which means that the people could reissue if they choose to, but realistically today the case is dismissed. All right, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I'll await that. Just making sure I sign that.
It's printed.
All right. All right, so this is for docket 23-00790, and I will dismiss without prejudice. Anything else for the record in docket 23-00790, Ms. Wilson?
And for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
No, Your Honor.
All right, this is dismissed without prejudice as indicated before. You should be all set, Mr. Aubrey. Thank you for your.
Thank you.
It's an updated. Oh, so it doesn't. Yeah. Why?
We have, I don't know who's on the iPhone. So on the iPhone, could you please identify yourself? Still have to unmute.
Marquise Bragg.
Marquise. All right, sir, you're here for your 9 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
All right, stand by. You're in the right place. We've got a few cases to call in front of you. All right, sir?
All righty.
Thank you. All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-00289 and 24-01055. That's People of the State of Michigan versus Miguel Perez. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Doyle.
Dan Doyle on behalf of Mr. Perez.
All right, this is the time set for a final pretrial. It was scheduled for 8:30. It is now 9:24. And I do not see Mr. Perez on the Zoom courtroom. I don't think he's in the physical courtroom. Based on some of the representations of counsel, Mr. Doyle, did you want to make a record?
Yes, Your Honor, I just want to indicate that Mr. Perez was here today in the building, but he was informed that he had a warrant. As of right now, I know he's not in the building anymore.
I'm going to indicate he was here. Based on the record that the council has indicated. And Ms. Wilson, how would you like to proceed today?
Thank you, Your Honor. Given the nature of the charges, and it sounds like Mr. Perez also has another warrant out currently, I'd be requesting an immediate bench warrant upon forfeiture.
All right. Any comment, Mr. Doyle?
No comment, Your Honor.
I will issue an immediate bench warrant and bond forfeiture for the fail to appear for Mr. Perez. He was here. It sounds like he received some news and then left. Anything else for the record in either 24-00289 or 24-01055, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Doyle.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're all set. We have a bunch of people on Zoom.
Yeah, I was wondering who we have.
Miss Hinton, you'll have to unmute.
Yes.
I'm gonna have the APA talk to you concerning that matter. Mr. Perez, assuming we just bench warranted him for his fail to appear, all right?
Yes.
All right, so did you need to talk to Miss Wilson, or did you want to have Miss Wilson contact you later?
Yes, please.
Okay, I can give you a call later today.
Okay, thank you. And so I'm
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. You are, yep.
okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
And Miss Coleman, you're here for your 9:30, is that correct?
Yes,
All right, stand by. We have some cases to go in front of you, but you are in the right courtroom.
thank you.
On the cell phone, 6873 are the last four numbers. Would you unmute yourself and identify yourself? Cell phone 6873.
Is she here? I mean, I think she should be made 30.
She probably should, but I don't think she was scheduled until 9:30.
Oh, she's scheduled for 9.
9.
Yeah.
I don't know who's on the cell phone. On the cell phone, could you identify yourself before we remove you?
Jose Marin.
Yeah, Mr. Marin, I have you and I have your name. This is on cell phone ending in the 4 digits of 6873.
Correct.
6873. Oh, is that you, Mr. Marin, on the cell phone too?
Yes, that's me on the cell phone.
All right. All right, Mr. Marin, you're here for your 9:30 and you are in the right courtroom. We just have some cases to call before we call your case. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 2402-692. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Lindsay Bennett. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson, the people.
Mr. Lee.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Lindsay Bennett.
And ma'am, you are Lindsay Bennett, is that correct? All right, thank you. This is the time set for a final pretrial today. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. The necessary witness in this matter was subpoenaed. They have failed to appear today. The people cannot proceed without their participation. I expect a motion from the defense.
Mr. Lee.
Yes, Your Honor. That being said, the defense would make a motion to dismiss.
And Ms. Wilson, those witnesses were subpoenaed for today?
That's correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Lee, you might have to grab the Nolly Prosser motion to dismiss that's been printed out there because.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lee. All right, so I'm in possession of the order of dismissal concerning docket 2402-692. This case is dismissed without prejudice, Ms. Bennett, which means that people could reissue in theory if they choose to, but for our purposes today, the case is dismissed. All right, ma'am? All right.
Your Honor, will Ms. Bennett then be able to get the tether off?
Yes, we will email the I don't have it. Oh, she had a scram tether.
Oh, is that still done through JSG?
I think that's done through JSG. I just want to make sure we know because she didn't have a GPS tether, but then it was written in a scram tether but I can't read the writing here.
Was Ms. Bennett's tether placed on her while she was at county?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's JSG.
Okay.
JSG, okay.
All right. So we'll contact JSG to tell them I would give it about a day to have it purged from the computer system because you don't want to be picked up on a pretrial condition that is still in the system only because it takes about a day to get out of the system. All right.
Will they give me a call then?
No, we'll email them right now to tell them to take it off. You'll have to go back to the county to have it taken off. Yeah. So and you'll get an order of dismissal. You'll get a copy of this signed by me so you can show it to them. All right. All right, I'm signing the order of dismissal for the dismissal without prejudice. If you stay in the courtroom when my court officer comes back, because she's getting a prisoner right now, we'll give you a copy, and that copy will be an indication that this is dismissed. All right, ma'am. All right. Anything else for the record in 2402-692, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Lee?
Nothing for the defense.
All right. So hang tight, and my court officer we'll give you a copy of the Nolly Cross, all right? You're welcome. That's for Megan. All right, Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Is there a Francisco Herrera on Zoom?
Francisco.
I don't believe there is, but I just have to do due diligence.
I do not see a Francisco Herrera.
Is Crispin here? Yeah. I think we're ready on Crispin.
All right. Clara Chrisman.
Yes.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-02818. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Clara Chrisman. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Clara Chrisman.
And ma'am, you are Clara Chrisman, is that correct? All right, thank you. This is the time set for, I have it set for a PA 53 and a final pretrial. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. The complaining witness in this matter was subpoenaed at their last known address. They have not appeared today. The people cannot sustain their burden without their participation on the underlying charge or the PA 53. I expect a motion from the defense.
Mr. Lee.
Yes, Your Honor, per the prosecutor's previous statements, the defense would make a motion to dismiss.
All right, I will grant the motion to dismiss based on the defendant's request. That case is dismissed without prejudice, ma'am, which means that people could reissue if they choose to in theory, but for our purposes today, the case is dismissed. I'm going to borrow Mr. Lee to yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Lee. All right, so I'm in possession of the order of dismissal on 24-02818. And at the defendant's request, this is dismissed without prejudice. So you should get, if you choose to, you can get a copy of the order of dismissal. My court officer is taking somebody or grabbing somebody. So if you want a copy, one will be provided to you. Also on the PA 53, I'm assuming it's the same witnesses, Ms. Wilson?
That's correct.
All right. So for the plaintiff's inability to proceed. That case is also dismissed. All right, so a copy will may be made for you, Ms. Chrisman. Anything else for the record in 24-02818, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Chrisman, if you want a copy, just stand by and we'll get you a copy, all right? Thank you. Miss Lee, can you unmute? Anika Lee? Anika Lee, can you unmute?
Hello,
In what case are you here on, ma'am?
my sister Teresa Coleman.
Teresa Coleman. All right. All right, stand by. You're in the right place. We've got a couple cases to call in front of that case. I was just seeing which case you were here on. Stand by, okay, ma'am?
Thank you so much.
Oh, Lord.
Well, No food. I'm taking a train here. So there's one with people. I will read trade.
All right, Mr. Bragg, you can unmute. We're ready to go on your file. Marquise Bragg. All right,
I'm here.
there you go. All right, thank you. So we're on the record in docket 24-03071. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Marquise Bragg. Will the parties please indicate their presence for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Marquise Bragg. Your Honor.
And sir, you are Marquise Bragg, is that correct?
Yes.
And you can hear me all right, Mr. Bragg?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe this is going to be a request for another pretrial.
And is that a fair statement, Mr. Lee?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. We recently requested some body worn camera and additional discoveries, so that would be appropriate.
So this is a request for a second pretrial by the defense, and there's some evidentiary discovery issues. All right, and we will reset. How far out are we thinking?
At least 3 weeks.
3 weeks? Does that sound fair?
That sounds very good.
November 18th at 9 o'clock.
November 18th at 9 o'clock. So we'll reset this pretrial for November 18th at 9 o'clock. You have that date, Mr. Bragg?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else for the record in 24-03071, Ms. Wilson?
Talk for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Nothing for the defense, Your Honor.
All right. We'll see you on November 18th at 9 o'clock. You're all set, Mr. Bragg.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Oh, ready.
Anthony Davis?
Anthony Davis.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-02467. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Anthony Davis. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Anthony Davis.
Right, sir, you are Anthony Davis, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding that the defense is going to be requesting another adjournment, believing that there's going to be a resolution as far as the license goes.
All right. Is that a fair statement, Mr. Lee?
It is, Your Honor. I don't know that we will have a complete resolution. However, Mr. Davis has been working with another attorney in our office to get a hearing with the Secretary of State. He completed sobriety court 10 plus years ago, and we believe that he should be able to get his license back. However, if he is unable to get this hearing and I'm not going to move forward, we will work with the prosecutor.
All right. So let's set it for final pretrial out of ways to see,
That sounds
you know,
30
so
days.
yeah, at least 30 days to give some time for compliance measures. I think Thanksgiving's coming up, so maybe after Thanksgiving sometime, and then we'll go for, and that'll give some time for board compliance and to see where the license stands. So let's go after Thanksgiving. That-
I'm sorry, December 2nd. I have no way, sir.
No. No worries. All right, so we'll reset this pretrial for December 2nd at 9 a.m. And then we'll have a better gauge on the compliance and how we're proceeding at that time. Anything else for the record in 24-02467, Ms. Wilson?
Talk for the people.
Mr. Lee.
nothing for the defense, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Davis, you're all set. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, who's that?
Oh, okay.
Who are we going?
I'll start with McMillan. That's Jennifer McMillan.
Hello, I'm here.
All right, Ms. McMillan, we'll call your case next. You can unmute. Jennifer McMillan.
Okay, I'm here. Just a
All
minute,
right.
trying to get in.
So we're on the record in docket 23-03469. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Jennifer McMillan. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Jacob Shive on behalf of the
Mr. Shive.
people, Your Honor, requested permission under Court Rule 8.120.
Granted. And then Mr. Rowley.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Ms. McMillan.
And ma'am, you are Jennifer McMillan, is that correct? And you'll have to unmute. For whatever reason, Ms. McMillan, it's not, there you go.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Can
I
you-
guess I have to hit this button.
We
Yes,
saw
I'm
you
Jennifer
working on
McMillan.
it, so.
Thank you.
And ma'am, you are Jennifer McMillan, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you can hear me all right, Ms. McMillan?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pre-trial today. Mr. Shive, how are we proceeding?
Requesting set for a final pretrial, Your Honor.
And that's a fair statement, Mr. Rowley.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we'll set the final pre-trial for
November 18th at 8:30.
November 18th at 8:30. So we've set this final pretrial on November 18th at 8:30. Ms. McMillan, you'll get a notice sent to the 9 Mile Road address. Is that still a good address for you?
Yep, that's a great address.
All right, perfect. Anything else for the record in 23-03469, Mr. Shive?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Rowley?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. McMillan, you'll get notice sent for November 18th at 8:30 for final pretrial, all right, ma'am?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who's next? So we're on the record in docket 24-01196. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Patricia DeMond. Appearances for the record, Mr. Shive.
Jacob Shive on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Mr. Rowley.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Ms. Demond.
And ma'am, you are Patricia DeMond, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for I have it set for a final pretrial and a PA 53 contempt violation. Mr. Shive, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, we have not, the victim failed to show, so without her showing, we cannot go forward today.
Okay, so people are unable to proceed. The complaining victim was subpoenaed, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And failed to appear. So as to the final pretrial, people are unable to proceed based on the interference of a witness. Mr. Rowley, how do you respond to that?
My motion would be for dismissal at this time.
All right, so the case is dismissed without prejudice on 24-01196 for the fail to appear of the complaining victim, so the people are unable to proceed today. So what that means, Ms. DeMond, is the people could reissue if they choose to, but for our purposes today, the case is dismissed. And is the same complaining victim on the PA 53, Mr. Shive?
Yes, Your Honor.
For a similar purpose, the people are unable to proceed on the no contact or the contempt violation. And that is also dismissed without prejudice. All right, I am in possession of the order of acquittal. A copy can be made for your purposes, ma'am. This is dismissed without prejudice, which means for our purposes today, the case is dismissed. It could be reissued. All right, ma'am? Anything else for the record in 24-01196, Mr. Shive?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Rowland? Okay, we're all set. If you want a copy, you can get one from my court office.
Yes, please.
Thank
you.
Raleigh,
Heather, the case that was dismissed.
So is that a tether you received at the jail?
Yes.
All right, so we'll send them an email indicating you need to go back to the jail front to have that removed.
I
But
can get it off.
You can get it off. It takes about a day to purge everything from the system. So understand that's part of the pretrial conditions, but we can send them an email indicating that you can go there and get the GPS taken off.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
so
you're
much.
welcome.
I was just about to tell you guys, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah,
but we
so-
already sent the email out. It should be good to go.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Lamont.
Oh my God, I'm crying out loud.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-02463. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Matthew Maidlow. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mr. Shive.
Jacob Shive on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Maidlow.
And sir, you are Matthew Maidlow, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter, a final pretrial. Mr. Shive, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, the victim failed to appear. Will not be able to move forward without him.
The defensive motion to dismiss.
All right. All right, so I'll entertain, and I'm having printed a dismissal without prejudice based on the defendant's request. People are unable to proceed today because of the fail to appear of the witness slash complaining victim. And this is dismissed without prejudice. So, Mr. Maidlow, the people could reissue if they choose to, but for realistically, for our case today, the case is dismissed. All right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can get a copy of the dismissal from my court officer. Anything else for the record in 24-02463, Mr. Shive?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Raleigh?
No, Your Honor.
Right, you're all set, sir. Thank you for your appearance today.
Do you want a copy?
Yes, please.
All right, Mr. Barnett, you can unmute. We'll call your case. So Darkis Barnett, you can unmute Thank you, sir. All right, so we're on the record in docket 2402552. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Darkeese Barnett. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Raleigh on behalf of Mr. Barnett.
And sir, you are Darkeese Barnett, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you can hear me all right, Mr. Barnett?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. The people are unable to sustain their burden at this time in this matter. For those reasons, we are requesting a dismissal without prejudice.
There's no objection from the defense.
All right, so this will be a dismissal without prejudice. And I'll entertain at the defense request, or at the, that's actually the people's request, docket 2402552, a nollie pros that Ms. Wilson can sign. Thank you, Megan. So we're on the record docket 2402552, and I'm in possession of an order of dismissal signed by the prosecutor. I will also sign the order of dismissal without prejudice, which means the people could reissue Mr. Barnett if they choose to, but for our case, for our purposes today, the case is dismissed. Any questions concerning 2402552, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Barnett, you should be all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And then I think we had one.
Oh my God.
Or that is People of the State of Michigan versus DeAndre Ware. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? So ma'am, in post one, you're gonna have to mute yourself or stay quiet because the rest of the courtroom can hear you, all right?
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're back on the record in docket 2303024. Appearances for the record, Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of DeAndre Marshawn Ware.
And sir, you are DeAndre Ware, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. I am in receipt of a copy of Mr. Ware's new license. So the people are moving to dismiss without prejudice for compliance. I believe this is on a ticket.
I think it is. Yeah. So receipt for compliance, dismissal without prejudice. So, Mr. Ware, this is going to be a motion by the prosecutor to dismiss without prejudice based on compliance purposes. Understand that they could reissue if they choose to, theoretically, but for our purposes today, the case is dismissed. Anything else on the record in 2303024 based on the motion to dismiss from the prosecutor's office? Miss Wilson? Mr. Lee?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. All right, you should be all set, Mr. Ware. Thank you for your appearance today.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ms. Giles, we'll call your case. You can unmute. That's,
I sent the request.
all right.
She was still making.
There we go. Thank you. All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-03028. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Patricia Giles. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Patricia Ann Giles.
And ma'am, you are Patricia Ann Giles, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. This matter is part of a global resolution on a file that's currently awaiting arraignment in circuit court. The people at this time are requesting an adjournment 30 days to try to effectuate that plea, in which this case would be dismissed upon successful plea.
So there is a case, there's a non-dismissed case in circuit court. It's awaiting arraignment in circuit court, which means it's between district court and circuit court.
That's correct.
And that's part of the global resolution. So the adjournment request is for 30 days on this file, or at least 30 days. Is that a fair statement, Ms.
That's
Wilson? Mr. Lee.
Yes, that is my understanding as well, Your Honor. There is a global resolution that would dismiss these cases upon execution at the circuit court level.
So we'll reset this hearing. So there's, I know Ms. Giles believes that there are several charges that have been dismissed pursuant to this file, but it appears that this file is based, or at least is linked to, negotiably linked to another file in circuit court. So we'll reset this hearing for December 2nd at 9 o'clock. All right, so we'll await that other case has to be, the circuit court has to be arraigned, find a judge, so to speak, because it needs to go to the, get a number for the correct judge that's assigned to it. And then this case will be entertained as part of that global resolution. Anything else for the record in 24-03028, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Giles, you should be all set. This is set out to December 2nd at 9 o'clock.
So why did you miss today?
It's gonna be considered, we're adjourning this to December 2nd. So it'll be considered with your circuit court case that's ongoing right now. You have a circuit court case ongoing.
Okay, could I have to speak? Okay, I went to court October the 11th, and Judge Flores, he dismissed all three of these cases I'm in here about right now.
She is confusing the waiver
Yeah,
of the felony file in which the plea agreement was upon the plea. This would be dismissed,
Right.
but it wasn't dismissed at that time.
Right.
Because the plea needs to go through.
Right.
If you'd like, I can stick around and speak with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your attorney will talk to you about your questions that you have, but we're awaiting that file, and we'll explain to you where that file is. It's making its way to circuit court. All right, ma'am. And then if Mr. Lee needs to answer your questions,
Today or no?
so I'll let you ask your questions to Mr. Lee. All right.
Will I leave today or no?
Oh, do you leave today?
Yeah.
No, let's have you talk to Mr. Lee and then you can leave. All right, ma'am? So I'm going to place you in a breakout room with Mr. Lee so you can talk about this case. All right. So you don't have any, if you have any questions, you should ask him. All right.
Could I talk to Judge Flores? Cause he just missed my case.
Right. Talk to Mr. Lee about your current case. Thank you for your appearance today. And I'm going to place you in a breakout room with Mr. Lee.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wow.
All right, Mr. Dodd Brown, we're ready to go on your case. So we're on the record in docket 2403027. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Tricorius Dodd Brown. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Tricorius Dodd Brown.
And sir, you are Tricorius Dodd Brown, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And you can hear me all right, Mr. Dodd Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. This is the time set for pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
I would defer.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we're requesting a short adjournment so that we can have further negotiations with the prosecutor. In addition, we would ask the court to consider a change in bond for Mr. Dodd Brown, who currently has a PR bond. We would ask the court to consider a $100 10% bond so that he can get credit for the time that he served.
Any objections to the request for adjournment or the modification of bond? This is actually setting a bond for credit purposes.
That's correct, Your Honor. I know Mr. Dodd Brown has a number of other files going, so I don't anticipate him getting out anytime soon.
Right.
No objection to the bond modification and no objection to the adjournment.
Okay, so this will be adjourned 2 weeks out, 2 to 3 weeks.
Three.
Three.
November 18th at 9 a.m.
Okay, so this is adjourned to November 18th at 9 a.m. And then we'll set bond at, it was set, a PR bond was $1,500. We'll make it $1,500, 10%. So we'll see, so Mr. Dodd Brown can start receiving some credit on this file concerning that bond. Okay, so it's reset for November 18th at 9 a.m. Anything else for the record in 2403027, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Dodd Brown, you should be all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
I'm gonna go get with Ms. Giles.
Okay. So Ms. Giles, your lawyer will be, I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with your lawyer, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, hello.
Thank you. Ms. Coleman, we're ready to go on your file, so you can unmute. And I think there's another person here on Ms. Coleman's case. Ms. Lee's here on that case.
Yes.
All right. All right, so we're on the record in docket 2402951. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Teresa Coleman. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mr. Shive.
Jacob Shive on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Ms. Coleman.
And ma'am, you are Teresa Coleman, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can hear me all right, Ms. Coleman?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Mr. Shive, how are we proceeding?
Requesting a final pretrial, Your Honor.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So this will be a final pretrial on the matter. Final pretrial is set for
November 18th at 8.
November 18th at 8:30. All right, we've reset this, or we've set this for November 18th at 8:30 for final pretrial. So Ms. Coleman, you'll get notice sent to that address, your last known address for the court. And we have, just to verify that, that's a Melrose address, ma'am? Is that correct?
Yes, yes, I have a
All
question,
right.
Your Honor. I have a question. It's supposed to be a no contact order on both behalves, correct?
You're not to have any, let's see, you're not to have any contact with the victim in the matter, Ms. Coleman.
Correct.
Shakira Coleman.
And she's not supposed to have contact with me, correct?
If Ms. Coleman has any contact with you, you're to report it to LPD.
Okay, I got numerous of text messages from October.
So you should talk to your lawyer. You should talk to your lawyer about that. You should talk to Mr. Raleigh about that. And he will proceed on your behalf. That has to come to me in a police report.
So I got to come to Lancer to make a police report?
We can talk later, Teresa. I'll call you later, okay?
Mr. Raleigh, your attorney will call you and you can talk about how to follow up on that. All right, ma'am?
I'm asking because this hindered me from working. And if she contacted me,
right.
It should
I
be
understand. I understand that, but complaining to me will do you no good. You have to contact LPD. So you should talk to your attorney, Mr. Raleigh.
I've been contacting them.
All right. All right. So final pretrial is set for November 18th at 8:30. Anything else for the record in 2402951, Ms. Wilson?
Just for clarity purposes, the no contact order is for Ms. Coleman. It does not apply to the victim in this matter. So Ms. Coleman's the one restricted from contacting the victim.
She is, but if Ms. Coleman's indicating that.
Correct. If she's getting harassing messages, I just want to say for clarity purposes of the no contact order.
Right. So that's why it should be, if Ms. Coleman, you have the no contact order, Ms. Coleman, Shakira Coleman has no contact order. But to protect yourself, you should report any contact you have with Shakira Coleman that is started by Shakira Coleman to protect yourself, because you're the one with the no contact order, so you'd be the one who'd be in violation of it. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, but I've been calling Lancer Police and not getting no response. So.
All right. Well, you need to continue to call or call your attorney. Anything else, Mr. Raleigh, on 2402951?
No, Your Honor.
All right. We should be all set on that file. Ms. Coleman, thank you for your appearance today.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move
All right.
to the-
Mr. Marin, we'll call your case. I have a
Yeah, there should be a
An accompanying ticket?
DWLS and a traffic
All
signal. I'm guessing it's a failure to obey.
Yeah, it is. All right, so we're on the record in docket 2402812 and the accompanying ticket of 240123121. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Jose Marin. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson, the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
And Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Marin.
And sir, you are Jose Marin, is that correct?
Correct.
And you can hear me all right, Mr. Marin?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding the defense is requesting an adjournment in order to look into some compliance.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And that is on both the ticket and the civil infraction?
That's correct.
And Mr. Raleigh, about how much time are you looking for in this matter?
Really, we would ask for 4 weeks if possible.
30 days? All right. So a week for adjournment for compliance of the further pretrial.
December 2nd at 9.
December 2nd at 9 a.m. All right, so Mr. Maron, we've adjourned this so that you can update your license to December 2nd at 9 o'clock. All right, sir?
Okay.
That's it's for measures of compliance. Anything else for the record in 2402-812 for the accompanying ticket, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you should be all set, Mr. Mayor. You'll get notice sent. I think that to the Knollwood Knollwood address. Is that still a good address for you, sir?
Correct, yes.
All right. For December 2nd at 9 o'clock. Thank you for your appearance today. You should be all set.
Thank you.
And then, Your Honor, do you have?
All right, so we're on the record in docket 13027993. That is the people of the state of Michigan versus L.C. Wilson.
Here I am, sir.
All right. So Mr. Wilson is here. Mr. Wilson, you can stay right there. You don't have to come all the way up. So, appearances for the record, Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Raleigh, I don't know if you're on this case or not.
I am.
Okay, Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Raleigh on behalf of Mr. Wilson.
And sir, you are L.C. Wilson, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. Given the age of the case, the people will be moving to dismiss without prejudice.
All right.
No objection from the defense.
All right. And this is based on a ticket. All right. All right, so the people move to dismiss without prejudice, which is granted by the court. Anything else on the record in 1302793, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Raleigh?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Wilson, you're all set today. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you. You have a blessed day, Your Honor.
You too. So, Mr. Kuntz, you're here for Stephen Mills, is that correct?
That's right, Your Honor.
All right, and is Mr. Mills going to join us today?
I think he might be the 517.
All right. So on the cell phone ending in 6873, could you identify yourself, sir?
Yeah, my name is Stephen Mills.
All right, that's Stephen Mills. Are you ready on that? All right, so Mr. Kuntz, we'll call that case. So we're on the record in docket 2402784. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Stephen Mills. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Kuntz.
And good morning, Your Honor. Dustin Kuntz for Stephen Mills.
And sir, you are Stephen Mills, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you can hear me all right, Mr. Mills?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe this is gonna be a request for a final pretrial.
Is that a fair statement, Mr. Coons?
That's exactly right, Your Honor.
So we'll set it for final pretrial on
November 18th.
November 18th at 8:30. So, Mr. Mills, you'll get notice sent to that Kingswood Drive address. Is that still a good address for you, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. All right, we'll set it for November 18th at 8:30. Anything else for the record in 2402-784, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Coons?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Mills, you're all set. We'll see you on November 18th at 8:30.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
We'll see you, Mr. Coons. All right, so Ms. Reese, we'll call your case on 2402-799. So we're on the record in docket 2402-799. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Nicole Reese or Ruiz. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Ms. Ruiz.
And ma'am, you are Nicole Ruiz? Ms. Ruiz, are you there? Ms. Reese? You'll have to say your name. Nicole Reese or Ruiz? Oh, I think she's having some technical.
Sorry about that.
All right. So ma'am, you are Nicole. How do you pronounce your last name? Ruiz or Reese?
It's Reese.
Okay. Okay. And you can hear me all right, Ms. Reese?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. This is the time set for pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe this is gonna be a request for final pretrial.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. We'll set this for final pretrial on
November 18th at 8:30.
So, Ms. Reese, we've set this for final pretrial on November 18th at 8:30. And is that Race Street still a good address for you, ma'am?
Yes. Yep.
All right. You'll get notification at that address. Anything else for the record at 2402-799, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Raleigh?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Reese, thank you for your appearance today. We've set it for November 18th at 8:30.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
On the record in docket 24-00481, that's people of the state of Michigan versus Christopher Phillips. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Phillips.
And sir, you are Christopher Phillips, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is going to be a joint request for another pretrial.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we will grant the adjournment for further pretrial. And what's the purpose for our negotiations continuing?
That's correct.
And we'll set the further pretrial for
2 to 3.
November 18th at 9 a.m. So, Mr. Phillips, you'll get notice given to you by my court officer, and we've reset for November 18th at 9 a.m. Anything else for the record in 24-00481, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Phillips, you should be all set. Thank you for your appearance today. Yeah, Mr. So we're on the record, Mr. Shively, we'll call your case. We're on the record in docket 23-02639. That's people of the state of Michigan versus Ronald Shively. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Ronald Shively.
And sir, you are Ronald Shively, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a forensic review hearing. And for our purpose today, what's the number that we're at? 376. Ms. Wilson, how we proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor. So just point of clarity, Mr. Shively was given a PR bond a while ago. So I think the number at the PR bond is the amount of credit he's accumulated. I think that was like 320 something, if I remember correctly. Regardless, it's my understanding that the competency issue in circuit court has been abandoned, and there was going to be a mental health court referral. It's my understanding that's been abandoned as well. Seems that they're kind of at a stalemate in circuit. I feel like I'm kind of in between a rock and hard place with this one. He's definitely been incarcerated more than a year. Whether he's collected more than a year of time is up for debate. But I feel like my hands are tied at this point.
Mr. Lee.
Your Honor, we would just ask the court to consider that Mr. Shively has served more than 300 days. That's not debated. And given that this is a misdemeanor charge, we would ask the court to consider a dismissal at this time, as there doesn't appear to be any resolution in the short term.
We were adjourning this to wait for a decision to be made on the circuit court, and they're not coming. It's just not coming forth.
So my understanding in speaking with the APA on that file is there was a competency concern, and then that was abandoned. And now they're just kind of at a stalemate in circuit. And our file was supposed to be resolved with the circuit court file. And at this point, we've stalled so long that we're kind of at the end of it.
So there's the pending circuit court case.
Correct.
Right. And Bond is still on that circuit court case, I would assume.
He's got a pure bond on both files. I have no idea why he's still in jail.
Mr. Lee, do you know why he's?
I don't. Unfortunately, I can't look right now at the felony file. I was under the impression that he was that he had either a bond or he was being held for the forensic review. Again, I'm not as up to date on the felony file as Ms. Wilson.
I don't think we can hold him on this file. So I'm gonna indicate for time served in this matter, and that there's no circuit court global resolution or evaluation that we're waiting for. So at this point in time, the court on its own will dismiss without prejudice based on the circuit court's non-activity on the forensic review of that file, which it makes sense. It all makes sense to put one file on the other one, but I think the time is in on this file. So I also dismissed the PA 53 as a portion of that. For as all right, so I'm going to grant the motion from the defense to dismiss without prejudice pursuant to waiting on the circuit court file because time is in. We should probably print that out since this is not a ticket, right?
No,
correct. Yes.
Yeah. I'm granting the defense motion to dismiss. We'll print it up that way. All right. So pursuant to the defense motion to dismiss without prejudice, based on essentially lack of activity on this file, and Mr. Shively appears to have time in on the file, we'll no longer wait for the circuit court analysis to come through, and we'll dismiss without prejudice. Anything else for the record in 23-02639, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Lee. Nothing for the defense.
All right, you're all set, Mr. Shively. This file is dismissed.
Thank you. Nice knowing you.
Thank you.
Knickerbocker?
Knickerbocker. Ashley Knickerbocker. All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-00897. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Ashley Knickerbocker. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Ashley Knickerbocker.
And this is the time set. This was scheduled for 8:30. It is now 10:59 or 11 o'clock. 10:59. I do not see a Miss Knickerbocker in the Zoom courtroom, physical courtroom. I don't know if she's in the waiting room or not. You guys have been out there, so Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd be requesting a bench warrant.
Any comment on the bench warrant, Mr. Lee?
Only to say that I'm not sure why she is not in attendance, Your Honor. I have called her and left her voicemails and hope to hear back from her. We would just ask the court to consider a 48-hour hold.
I don't have a previous. Let's see. Yeah, this looks a little different than just a regular D&E, at least from my reading of some of it. So I'm going to issue a bench warrant bond forfeiture for her failure to appear. It is a non-assaultive crime, but there was generally assaultive conduct that was associated with it, not only as with in regards to Ms. Knickerbocker, but also in claims she's making that she might have been assaulted at the same time. So I'll issue a bench warrant and bond forfeiture. Anything else for the record in 24-00897? Ms. Wilson.
Not for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Nothing further.
All right, that's all for the record in that file.
Then we have Van Buren.
Go ahead and go on Van Buren. And then Van Buren's 2 files.
Yeah.
Or 3 files.
Oh, 3?
3288.
And then
1406. All right, so we're on the record in dockets 23-03288 and 24-01406. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Erica Van Buren. Parties appearances for the record, Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Raleigh on behalf of Ms. Van Buren.
And this is the time set. It was set for 8:30. It is now 11:02. This time set for a pre-trial in the matter. I do not see Ms. Van Buren in the Zoom courtroom. There's nobody in the physical courtroom. I do have several, at least one failed to appear, 2 failed to appear in this matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. Given the assaultive nature of the offense and the prior failures to appear, the people are requesting an immediate bench warrant and bond forfeiture.
Any comment, Mr. Raleigh?
No objection and no comment.
All right. I'll issue a bench warrant and bond forfeiture on 23-03288 for the non-appearance of Ms. Van Buren. And I'll issue a bench warrant and bond forfeiture on docket 24-01406 for the non-appearance of Ms. Van Buren. Anything else for the record on either one of these files, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Rutland?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, we should be all set on both those files. Jerome.
Yep, Veronica Jerome. I believe that's his from me.
Right. And then how about Terry? You have that?
I have it. I'm not sure who has. Here.
Oh, that's. Mr. Terry has a warrant out. I think.
That makes sense.
Never.
We'll be on this Howell.
Cool. How?
Oh. All right, Miss Howell, you can come up here. All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-02-157. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Ruby Howell. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Ruby Howell.
And ma'am, you are Ruby Howell, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. This is the time set for final pretrial in the matter. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
I would defer.
Mr. Lee.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to set the matter for a trial. We would ask the court for at least 3 weeks. There is the potential that there's a conflict of counsel issue. I'd like to explore that as well.
Maybe a conflict. Carter's on the circuit court case, is that correct?
That's my recollection.
All right, so we'll set for jury trial, but we'll set it out 4 to 5 weeks to the next go around.
That's a good question. So we're skipping November.
Yeah, let's get,
into
should we,
December.
I would think it would make sense to skip November and go into December.
Okay, trial date for December is 12/9 at 8.
December 9th at 8 o'clock. All right, so we've set this for jury trial on December 9th at 8 o'clock. That should give some time for conflict counsel to be at least come because this may be a part of a global resolution, or at least Mr. Carter should know about it. Anything else for the record in 24-02-157, Ms. Wilson? Mr. Lee.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Howell, you're all set. We've set it for December 9th at 8 o'clock, right, ma'am?
Does Jeffrey get full screen?
Yeah.
Who's on Jerome?
I think Mr. Lee is. Jerome, Veronica Jerome. You can look it up.
Mr. Raleigh could look,
I can look it
or
up.
Mr. Raleigh could look it up, or
I show Taylor Wicks.
So that would
Got it
be
updated.
Mr. Raleigh.
what you're not allowed to do, Mr. Lee, is turn on your computer.
Yeah, not until you leave.
Left that up there by the guard.
Did it stop smoking?
Eventually, yeah, I did stop smoking, but boy, you could smell it when I walked back down the hall.
Well, you smell it in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's something I've heard about that I've never seen.
So, Mr. Raleigh, are you here? Are you on Mr. Jerome?
Yes, suppose I am.
You are now.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 1702134. That's people of the state of Michigan versus Veronica Jerome. So the parties please introduce themselves for the record. Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson, for the people.
Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Raleigh on behalf of Mr. Rome.
And this was set for final pretrial today. It was set for 8:30. It is now 11:09. And it would appear that the defendant has failed to appear for the final pretrial. Nobody's in the Zoom courtroom by the name of Ms. Jerome, and nobody's in the physical courtroom. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. Given the age of the case, I believe there's prior failures to appear. I'll be requesting an immediate bench warrant.
No. I do have a prior fail to appear on August 26th. Any comment, Mr. Raleigh?
No, Your Honor.
It was September 17th, it was set, and then there was a fail to appear, but we excused that. And then it was set for final pretrial for today. Okay. So I'll issue a bench warrant and bond forfeiture for the prior bench warrant and bond forfeiture has been issued on August 26th. Anything else for the record in 1702134, Ms. Wilson?
No, for the people.
Mr. Raleigh?
No, Your Honor.
All right. That's all for the record in that case.
And I think Terry's our last one.
Shockingly, Mr. Terry did not show up today.
So we're on the record in docket 2402745. That's people of the state of Michigan versus Rodney Terry. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson, for the people.
Mr. Lee.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Terry Rodney.
This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. It was set for 9 o'clock. It is now 11:11. It would appear that Mr. Terry has failed to appear for the pretrial. There's an outstanding warrant in regards to another file. And I think Mr. Terry has other files in front of the court, if not in circuit court too.
I don't remember in circuit court, I believe in other district
Right.
courts for sure.
All right. So so for the defendant has failed to appear for the pretrial scheduled for 9 o'clock today. Ms. Wilson, how would you like to proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor. Given the numerous files that Mr. Terry has, and the fact that he's currently in warrant status, I'd be requesting an immediate bench warrant.
Any comment, Mr. Lee?
No comment.
All right, I'll issue a bench warrant and bond forfeiture on the matter. There's outstanding warrants, at least one one outstanding warrant that we know of. And I know that Mr. Terry has other cases pending in front, at least a couple more cases in front of this court. So that's all for the record, 2402745. Thank you, everybody, for your appearance. So
It's not bad.
not bad.